Alright. We're gonna see how this works. Yeah, YouTube decided to reset all of my settings, not in OBS, but in YouTube itself. So, like, it had like a 2-minute delay to the stream, and it didn't have the captions, and a whole bunch of other goofy stuff. So I think I got them fixed. You never know. Anyway, we are here, we are back. This is episode 2, Carmine Skies, Industrial Bootstrapping. This may not run the full normal length tonight. It's been kind of a bad pain week, and so we're going to go until my hands say they're done. And that's just kind of how that's going to go for tonight. So we'll see what we can get done. And yeah, that'll be what we do. So I don't know why it just kicks me out all the time, but it does. So it is what it is. Let's go over here to our board. Things to do still. We need to build up a mining vehicle of some sort, because again, can't do the pipelines and the drills quite yet. Well, that's not entirely true. We kind of can. I have one here. The problem is they're kind of expensive to make and really expensive to run. They take 2 megawatts per drill. Yeah, so there is that. Do need to finish scouting out some ore deposits at some point. May not be a tonight thing, we'll see. Do need to set up a rudimentary defense against pirates, and I need to do something so my character can have a place to lay down and sleep when it's nighttime out. So day 1 was stream 1. This is the stuff that was done in between. Day 2, I did clean up some garbage. I went back and ground down the other Connex box, because the heavy plate, I had a realization. Armored plate has titanium in it. So might be able to squeak by with just enough titanium for things if we break down all of our armored plates. We'll see how that goes. I did scout some locations to set up some outposts. Look, one's around here. We can see some of them there. We had the iron before. There's coal over there. I have properly identified it. And I did confirm that out there in the middle of the lake is oil. I just didn't mark it with a GPS signal. There's some complications about some of our ore availability. We'll have to go through in a little bit, though. I did make some hydrogen bottles. I got 2 of them now. I had 2. Is one empty? One's probably... No? Oh, no. I've got 2 drills and only 1 bottle. What did I do with my things? I had 2 bottles. That's not the ones I want. Those are the empty ones. Did I leave it over here? Maybe I left it over here. Did I leave it over here? I left it over here in the O2 generator. Okay. So, I can, fly for more than 15 seconds now without crashing underground. So there's that. And I did start with some heavier stone processing. And a good chunk of that is thanks to, again, I had enough to build one of these ORTAP devices. I did update the recipe for this via a mod adjuster submod to make it the same as the middle tier resource nodes drill. It uses more power, but fuck needing 100 superconductors. Howdy howdy. And so this feeds into a smelter, which has a sorter, so that when it runs, I can't fill everything up with stone, but it does allow ingots through. So the smelter smelts everything it can out of the stone and then dumps it into here. And so we just run one of these at a time as needed, because if I run both of them, I have no power for literally anything else in the base, even with that. It drains all the batteries. So we're still in temporary mode there as it is. Other idle thoughts. Let's turn off some of these displays. I do need a more permanent hydrogen source. I think we're going to kind of do this the cheap way with the collector and power line. We'll see. I did find a really goofy unknown signal that I thought would make a pretty neat camera drone. It's up here. The unknown signal didn't have this remote control on it. It didn't have any of the stuff here in the back. It was just the 4 engines and a light. It didn't have these extra batteries. But this now works. This will run and fly around, and we can see the camera, and it's got lights, and we can charge it. And we've got antennas, so I actually have distance to do that with. Is that just regular AHE stuff? It is, okay. Yeah, so need, find, and mark some more key resources. Bauxite for aluminum, silver for silver, titanium and niter, because we need niter to make gunpowder once it's refined, which gets us ammunition. Any of these we don't have steady supplies for, we're going to have to buy. So, and of course I will need an oil derrick sooner rather than later, because oil is a great source of fuel if you refine it into gasoline. We'll need that for vehicles. And then of course coal is kind of important for stuff. So here's an unknown signal. What does this one look like? It's still plummeting. See if we can... Oh, come on. That was going to be so cool watching it fall down. Oh, man. I got cheated to that twice. What do you look like? You look like one of the rolly balls. I think that's one of the rolly balls that was around. We're going to ignore that one for right now. Even though the batteries on them are pretty much our only source of lithium right now. And that plays into why I don't have lithium on that board. Because if we come over here and look, there's no lithium anywhere near us. There's cobalt. This is going to be probably our primary cobalt unless something goes really weird. This is the AHE headquarters, but the cobalt's nearest here. This is the coal I marked, the oil out in the water. We're probably going to go for this silver, but we might go for this one instead. I kind of want to take a trip down this roadway and see if there's something here. Right, because there is a road. So theoretically the road goes somewhere, but I don't know. I've never played on this continent before. So, you know, there is that. There's nickel deposits. I don't think we're going to need any, honestly, because, like, the stone from mining out where we're going to be setting up our full base of operations, I'm pretty sure is going to give us enough nickel and silicon that we'll never care. There is copper over here. The other alternative would be to use this silver and bore through the mountain and then run pipelines. Because that would have the added benefit of we could do a mine here for bauxite and cobalt and send them via pipeline up to here and collect and gather everything. So we got copper and silver and bauxite and cobalt, which then all gets shuffled to the coal location, which then gets shipped across the river and over to us. That may be how this goes. This is going to be a multi-step process, though. We may just not run pipelines. It may just have to go manually pick it up. We'll see. I do need a boat for this, though, because trying to transport this is going to be a gigantic hassle otherwise. On the bright side, we have this beautiful river. which goes up past the AHEHQ, so we can do some trading, and then he goes up this way. So we can set up like a dock space and be done with it. There's some options. But the problem is, if we zoom out more, let's just zoom out and get the whole continent here on the screen at once. There's no lithium anywhere on this continent. At all. In fact, the nearest niter is on the opposite side, which is a problem. We can get some gold. There's gold over here across the desert. We don't need sulfur because we have access to oil. So all the stuff we would need sulfur for, we can get from refining oil and breaking it down. There's some titanium there, and there's some titanium down this way, which is why I was considering figuring out what's over here, because it may be worthwhile to do something with that. But there's no lithium. None at all. In fact, if we zoom out to the entire planet map, let's drop this back to default. There's, I think, 2 sources of lithium. There's one over here somewhere, and then there's one over here somewhere. So we're going to have to trade for any lithium we need for batteries, which is a problem. It does also mean we're going to need to probably try and focus on not utilizing batteries except when absolutely necessary. Mustache hair ended up in my mouth. It's very rude of it. So I think we're going to trade, or we're having to like capture enough unknown signals that have like a small battery on them to go, because we've got some lithium here, right? Like I've started a battery because we really need it, but it needs another 68 power cells, and I think we've got 52. If I cut down every other battery on this base, I think we've got 52 spare cells. So that's a lot of unknown signals, and that's a level of scrapping I refuse to stoop to. So we're gonna have to trade for it. Now the AHEHQ back that way does have some, which is good, but that's a get to it thing. So you got the quadcopter. We'll probably use that. If I don't have a use for this within like another stream or two, I'm probably just going to cut it down and take it apart. But it struck my fancy, so I figured I'd go with it. The coal is over that way. We do have a couple of things. So we do know. Let's start with this this hydrogen source right now, because that seems like the smart thing to do. That's not the right block. I want the collector block. We take a collector. And power pole, power line. Alkaline batteries are an acceptable alternative, but it requires either sulfur or one of the oil refinement byproducts to make, which is doable because those are at least rechargeable. They just aren't efficient with it. But for backup emergency power, they'd be very good. Which acid batteries... The problem with acid batteries is that they're not rechargeable. So any scenario where I would want to turn them on automatically in an emergency situation, there wouldn't be enough power for an event controller to toggle them on. So we're still looking at like manual toggles at that point. And I don't know that I want to mess with that. So we're going to stick with trying to overproduce and underuse. That's the current goal. We'll see how far this gets. And for right now, we're going to put a temporary power pole here. And then we're going to come down here to the water, and we're going to put our collector down. We're just going to bury it in the water. So we know this is about the high tide point, and this is about the low tide point. So if we put this here-ish at about low tide, more often than not, it will be able to collect ice, as long as it's got power. I don't want to hook this up to my base, yet. We may not ever, because it will fill the entire base with ice, and I don't want to fiddle about with, like, automating turning it on or not. Yeah, acids are good to exactly. They're good to get something that ran out of power up and moving again because they start fully charged. They can't be recharged, but they start fully charged, and they're not terrible to make. They're just kind of annoying if you're not like if you're reliant on them. But for an emergency situation, absolutely. So anyway, we ran a power line out here, so if we come out here and check, we should be able to verify whether or not we're collecting ice. Because this looks like it's probably deep enough. Yeah, we're collecting ice. Sweet. We're going to take some of that. We're going to turn off our tied GPS points now, because we don't need them. Because we can just look where our power line goes and go from there. But this gets us some more hydrogen, which is good, because I ran out of hydrogen, or out of ice to stuff into my H2O2 gen here, which is why this one tank isn't 100% full. Hide empty? No, we don't want to do that. H2O2. Blop. Blop. Cool, we're recharged, we're back up and running. We are golden. I took the car back to the AEG HQ, confirmed they do trade for a lot of stuff. Maybe not necessarily useful components for us, because I think everything they trade component-wise we could make. But as far as like being able to sell raw components or raw, ores and get stuff back, or ingots and get stuff back, they do have some options there. So I'll need to keep an eye on that as we go through things eventually. We're going to turn off this antenna while I'm here. And we're going to turn off this one as well, because I'm trying to reduce screen clutter now. As far as that goes, we'll turn off coal, because we don't care about that just yet. Nor the iron. Yeah, so, things. I think I want to put port, like what will be the port for any ship we use, here-ish. The reason I say that is, if we fly up, so I've got hydrogen I can afford to spend now. There's a pretty straight stretch of land here. I think we could put like some dock space and then dredge some of this out, because it's actually not that shallow right here. There's some space. I got my helmet closed, right? Yeah. I mean, look at how quick we go. We're like 15, 16, 18. Like we're pretty close to shore, and we've got a little bit of depth to us, right? Like we've still got 5 meters of depth at less than 30 meters. At low tide. The car is powered off. The battery's in recharge mode, and it'll sit idle for about 15 real-life hours. So I'm not too terribly worried about that one just yet. But we will need to set up something a bit more permanent for that one eventually. So I thought if I do this, because you do know where the top middle of Hat Mountain is, because I'm calling this Hat Mountain. Turn it off now. If we put like the lower entrance to the hangar area, or what will be the hangar, here-ish, we can also have a back exit as a let off on the forward key just in time to not kill myself. We can put the back entrance here, and if we put the back entrance here, all of that is iron. So that'll be an easy pipeline feed back for us, and I'm kind of excited about that thought, right? So I think that's going to work pretty well. So that gives us a lot of stuff we can mine out as we go. So yeah, I think this is how that's going to go, and then we'll just build into Hat Mountain, and just try and be real careful not to poke holes in the outside as we go. I think eventually I would like to have some sort of like top-reaching hangar opening area up here, perhaps for a Zeppelin. Because again, still doing that Zeppelin thing. But yeah, so that's my current thoughts for layouts. I did go up over that mountain ridge. It's a valley. I don't actually think, because of the height of these, anything that relies on atmospheric engines can get over this mountain range to our south. Like we're pretty high up right now. I don't think, like we're at low O2 right now. That's how thin the atmosphere is. The suit's saying low. Yeah, any hole becomes a turret position. Exactly. It's a secret exit for smoke breaks and for sticking guns to shoot things. I would just prefer not to do a whole bunch of them if I can afford to, not. So I mean, theoretically, could also do like a secondary operation there for defense and just cover that valley entrance. That's the bigger one I'm concerned about because this goes out to the ocean. And this goes back up towards the AHEHQ, which is just out of sight over there. But I think honestly our southern flank is probably pretty safe. Like we're almost 1.6 kilometers up to get above that, and we're in low O2 territory, which means atmospheric thrusters are going to be at less than 40% power. And I don't think anybody carries like 7 times the lift thrust they need to for anything. Yeah, right. I don't know. So Aaron, right's going back out in the Atlantic, but there's 2 other storm fronts that are brewing that are going to be coming up the East Coast area, and probably the next week, right? So we are almost to fall. It's less than a month. Is it exactly a month? Yeah, the autumnal equinox is 1 month from right now. So there's a good chance. Let's do an experiment. How high up off the ground is that transport flying? We are still in high O2. Would we go to low O2? Low. Yeah, no, that's like right at its transport ceiling. I think we're probably in a good spot to the south. Like, is it possible they could drop something in on us? Yes. But I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about that. So let's come back in here a little bit more gently, so I don't crash into something. Now we're gonna take some damage. Sprained my ankle again. Now, I have died 3 times off camera, by the way. 3 times off camera. And I wanted to use the cryo respawn mod. There's an issue where the last, like big update, right, that King did, that changed some of the network communications code. So that particular mod throws error messages out. Otherwise it perhaps shouldn't, because it's trying to reference packets that don't exist. So there's that, but I was kind of hoping to use one of those because then I could actually have to grow clones and actually care about how quickly I died. We'll see if that gets fixed. If so, we will plug that in. But right now I'm just keeping the cloning count here. So a jetpack related failure, which did happen on stream, back on the back of the iron last time, and then I cap hacked myself 3 separate times off stream. Once into the car, once into the Connex box, once into this drone, because I didn't have long enough antenna range, and it just kept going, and so I tried to catch it to stop it, and just face first into the back of it dud. That was fun. It was also before I had the bottles, so it made recovery real sketch. Yeah. Alright, so, things... There's too much stuff on my screen. I'm going to turn off some stuff. We're going to leave the low hangar entrance there for now for reference, and go from there. So we have a hydrogen source done. I'm just going to go ahead and mark this off. And we're going to set up all of our plates to break down. We're going to take our plate stamp, we're going to go to disassemble, and our heavy armored plate, we're just going to say break down 1,000. We don't have 1,000, but we're only getting, what, 1 titanium per, right? So, but each titanium plate is 3 ingots. So I think this might work. We'll see. There's some stuff that needs titanium that we don't have access to, so it'd be nice to have. Was it interior plates, something like that? What's the thing that needs titanium? Something needed titanium, and I don't recall what it was now. It'll come back to me eventually. Come back to me eventually. Anyway. Wait, was it an interior? Interior plate, maybe? No, interior plate needed aluminum. I don't know. Crap, it was something, and I don't remember now off the top of my head. So we're gonna go ahead and flag this off as well. Put this back on. We need to start working on some stuff though. So we're gonna do. We need a mining vehicle. No, we need. Technically, we need a transport vehicle. Like, it needs to be able to deploy a mine, but also maybe it doesn't. You know? So, like... I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he was so consistent with it, I don't think it would have. But, like, slamming into something at speed and dying... I mean, he slammed into himself with I think it was a light armor, maybe it was a heavy armor plate, from placing a string of armor, right? And he was going back a little bit too fast, so the last one he placed wasn't connected to the rest of the grid, it just kept going. So when he stopped, it into his face. So there's that. Let's see, we were doing 4 taps. This is all stuff we can make. It's reasonable stuff we can make. So maybe we do a construction vehicle and start setting up storage. So what are our options for storage? We've got to do. Yes. Yes. Alright, let's see. So on large size grid stuff, we don't need anything fancy for small cargoes, but they don't hold a whole lot. Transport containers we can't pipe to. Cargo terminals are about the same, but they require grids. Large cargoes require metal grids, which requires cobalt that we don't have. But we might... Actually, how many metal grids do we have? From like 31. Is that all the grids we have? No, it is not. Okay, so we got 48 grids. Or 2 power cells in that. 48. So we could do two large cargo containers. Okay, so that's a little bit more reasonable. So we could set up something over at the coal mine area and then work on a vehicle to transport, or we do some pipeline stuff. Pipelines require metal grids, but they'll go a kilometer per, right, if you've got straight line of sight. How far away is coal? Coal is 5 kilometers, so we would need a minimum of 6, assuming we had perfect lines directly. So not enough. We need a transport vehicle. We need an overland transport vehicle, and we need a water-based transport vehicle. We could set up pipelines and do power grid stuff. Because wind turbines are going to be our best friend early on. Yes, technically, Advanced computers, right? These require advanced computers. How many advanced computers do we have remaining? Because we can't make those just yet. 42 and 8, so 50. That's not too bad. Need the advanced assembler for the advanced computers. We could do a coal boiler at the coal site. Right, we jumpstart the drill to start getting coal, feed that into the boiler, and then the excess gets fed from the boiler over to cargo, and we go from there. So coal boiler makes steam, which is way more than we would need. And the steam turbine, here we go. Steam turbines require titanium plates. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, it'll be neat to see what they do with V2. I wanna see how that goes. Yeah, so steam turbines require titanium plates, and steam pipes just need tubes. Okay, so this is some options available to us. Now, I know for a fact that this car will drive underwater, because I've done it. Accidentally, but I did do it. Do I want to do that to retrieve coal and bring it back, though? What does this look like? How bad of a slope are we dealing with here? I don't want to roll underwater. That's a bad way to go. You don't want to do that. This is not terrible. How far down are we? Oh, we're like 50 meters. That's cool. Okay. So there's some options there. We could go underwater. Like, I've got a sealable suit, right? So, like, this isn't some SpongeBob hold your breath kind of shenanigans. Come back up. We need to drive down this way. What I did in the car previously is I drove over here and then up. Actually, I kind of floated in the car because it didn't actually finish sinking until it got to the other side. Let's come up and over, and then we're here. My concern is this is an area that will have to be defended eventually. Like, we're too low down. There's too many places where a ship could fly in, or perhaps rovers could drive in. But like the copper, the silver, all that stuff is out that way, so we could come through the mountains. So there's some options here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the ore processing back on. Get that stone back. And then from there, I'm coming in way too fast. It's 300 meters a second goose, not 100. Don't forget, the speed limit is way higher. So that is on, but it is full. So we're going to cycle this off. We're going to cycle this on. And we're going to hope we don't run out of storage space for gravel. I'm not happy with this concrete. Because it places a concrete voxel, but it uses the default texture. And I haven't gone through to fix this, so it uses iron, the iron ore texture by default. Because this area is ore with IO, and there's some shenanigans involving ore prioritization and voxel registration because the number of things involved. So that's a rant against Keen for another day. But we're going to run out of cargo. So let's start working on some stuff. First I'm going to do, again, we're still in temporary mode. So we're just going to slide this out further. because I want to have the infrastructure to take advantage of the coal before we ever start working on it. And technically, you might say, hey, isn't that putting the cart before the horse a little bit? And I'd say, no, there's no horses in Space Engineers. But I do want to make sure we can leverage it, right? Because worst case scenario, I can go collect some by hand and bring it back. It does look good enough for an A10 gun run. That's a problem. So steam turbines, and coal boilers. These are, I don't remember how big these are. It's been a bit since I've worked with IO. That's not too terribly bad. You can feed in through there, and then the steam comes out that black circle on the other side. And then on the turbine side, you feed the steam in, and it does power things. So these aren't too terribly problematic. Like this is easily doable. In fact, I could probably tie this into the existing infrastructure by doing something like this. We'll just put some more stuff here. What is our threat score? 93. So one thing to remember about MES and threat scores, specifically with Areas at War V1, is your threat score is used for initiating story events. And because production machines add more threat than regular blocks, not as much as guns, but still more, and every one of these machines in IO that's needed to make stuff is a production machine, so it's treating it as though we have like a dozen assemblers in several refineries here. It's going to artificially inflate our threat score a little bit as a result. So it is something that we need to keep an eye on, just for like consideration purposes, because it does mean that we could end up in a fight sooner than we want to be. And you know, our employers said they don't really care what happens with you know, the locals here, but I kind of don't want to be a problem with that. Like I'd like to try to leverage the resources of the AHE not being GC owned, especially because they're right there, right? So is it a tad meta? Yes. Is it something that normally wouldn't be an issue at all? Also yes, and it's only potentially a problem because we're using IO. So I don't really feel bad about being a little on the meta side with that. We're going to go with the mirrored steam turbine so that we can just do this number. And this gives us space if we need to set up another turbine for some unknown reason. We've got space here to do it. I don't possibly see a reason that would be necessary, but it is there if we need it. So I'm just going to go ahead and weld some of this stuff up and start making for things here. Here our stuff just churning away. Cranking out parts. We're not able to put to production. Oh, it's an issue of power. Let's turn off the refinery or the smelter, because all these batteries should be on recharge, so we shouldn't be draining them. But is the turbine. Yeah, we're alternating between stuff. And again, it's because we have no batteries to smooth out the power curve. So it is what it is. We do need eventually at least one lithium battery. Also, coal is something we can sell. Doesn't sell for a lot, but it sells for some. That's the important part. It sells for some. Okay, so this is ready to go. This is not quite yet, but it will be. Just waiting on stuff to finish being produced now. In the meantime... Ooh, hang on. What are wheels? We need rubber for wheels. That's going to be the problem. The wheels are going to be the problem. Okay. Let's think for these balloons. We need steel vacuum cells. 160 vacuum cells for a large balloon. What does a vacuum cell take to produce? On compatibility similar vacuum cells take titanium. That's what it was. We need a titanium for this. Alright, titanium, aluminum. We don't have aluminum either. Titanium, aluminum, nickel, and silicon. We can get aluminum. It's not too expensive. We could trade for it if we had to. I'm thinking... We don't have any rubber. We could take the wheels off the car. But that seems kind of mean to do to the car, because the car has done nothing wrong at all. It's been a pretty good car. It just can't carry anything. So we could either make a... we could try and make a trailer and hope it doesn't, thrash this thing about in the process, which seems like a horrible idea. These simplers almost keeping time with music. Man, that's a bad sign. Or we could fall back to using metal wheels. Because this is an option. In Industrial Overhaul, before you get access to rubber through oil, you can make metal wheels. They suck. But it is possible to do. It is possible to do. In fact, it doesn't require anything we don't already have a bunch of. I'm going to throw this bottle in here. Can't throw this bottle in here. Now I can. Put this ice away. And these large steel tubes. Almost nightfall already. Almost nightfall on day 3. We have a power system we can't leverage yet, but I could manually go mine some. Let's do that. We'll go check out whatever that unknown signal is at the same time. Is it on the side of the mountain or is it the back side? I think it's the other side. That'd be kind of nice. Less for it to slide down the slope. Oh, made it a flat spot. Flattish spot. Sorry, it's rolling down. Rolling down the mountain. Yeah. Push the button. Kids' pajama piece, look at that. Alright, what do we have in the storage here? Can I drag you over? There we go. Magnesium. Okay. I'm not unhappy about that. Not in the least. That's actually a really good find. That gets us some ammo. And this gets us 2 more lithium cells. Come back. Do I really care about the plates? Not really. Do I not want you floating around? Yes, very much so. Of course, construction components also helpful. Interior plate has aluminum. That's what it is. Aluminum, if we can get aluminum Yeah, free interior plates, that's good. Because that's going to be breaking down excess interior plates is probably going to be our source for aluminum right now for those balloons. And then the titanium via the heavy armor plate. So we're not going to have any armor for a bit, but there's some options available. Everything dumped out there. Let's go back to the plate stamp. We're still doing that. We will break down the titanium afterwards. And then that should work. And then for balloons, for vacuum balloons, the large one, do we get to see how much lift it has? No. No, we don't. We don't know how much lift it has. That's unfortunate. I guess technically because it doesn't actually... Hang on, let's go look it up in the mod. Because it doesn't technically have thrust because it's not a thruster. It has buoyant lifts via code. So... to say on the mod page how much lift they generate. No, but if we watch the slider, it'll show us how much of it's being used. Okay, so that's an option. I just don't know how much of this we would need. We need 160 vacuum cells for a large one, though. That's the only way we can do large grids. So what is 12 cells for a medium? 2 for a small. So let's just go make 12. Eventually this will get made and taken care of, and then we can do some testing. We'll do some testing. Maybe we'll use the car for testing, right? Because that'll get us a decent-ish idea. I have a drill, right? Yeah. Look at us a decent-ish idea. Fast. Just slow down. Cool. I'm just going to duck down until we're in the hole. I am running the Areas at War IO voxel fix mod by Uzar because I still stunk. It fixes everything having this iron texture. Ah, here we go. Cool.
Inventory full.
1.44 thousand.
Inventory full.
Yeah, that's good enough for right now. It's 1.6k. I'm just going to take this back with us. I can come back for another batch shortly. But this should be good enough to get us started. And that will help balance out the power draw needs. Because my big concern, right, because our only respawn is right there, that's that survival kit. So if this runs out of power, I'm screwed. But with the additional power this can produce, there's far fewer issues, right? Because it can make up to 100, was it 100 liters of steam? I think it was 100 liters of steam. Yeah, 100 liters per second of steam, which the steam turbines can handle up to 50 liters a second and produces basically a megawatt per liter per second of steam. So this pretty much cements our power needs. We won't need any more after that point. How much cargo space do we have open left still? We're doing pretty good. going to take the stone back, though, because the stone needs to be put in on this side. Let's take a look over here at our coal. Coal is in the coal boiler. Coal boiler is on. It could produce. It is not at present. And the steam turbine is not making right now because it doesn't have to. So let's turn back on our smelter. Let it do its job. How are we doing power-wise? Everything's running. Plate stamp is smashing away. Nothing's turning on and off and starting and stopping. The mod compatibility assembler, is it running? It is not, but that's fine. It doesn't have to just yet. So you don't have all the parts to make those vacuum cells. Alright, let's go back. Get one more load of coal. It will burn through that coal at a decently efficient rate. Like it's not anywhere near like uranium. But a couple thousand coal for how much power is being used here, it should last a bit. It's not like we're powering like a shield or anything absolutely ridiculous like that. Once we get into like really big industrial stuff with like multiple refineries or like doing stuff with like crushers and purifiers and all that stuff, then it might matter. But for right now, it doesn't. I think the previous playthrough ran everything off of 2 steam turbines until I had like shields up and went to space, in which case we had a lot more then. But for what we're doing right here, that's quite fun. Is there a way we could put some storage on the car without like ruining it in the process? This is not a pickup truck. It's a dune buggy. And all up under these pieces are like tanks and stuff for things, so I don't think so. Oh, you know what we could do? Put some ice back in this thing. Oh wait, no we don't. We don't have it. There's no H2O2 gen on it. It's just tanks. Okay. And the hookup is underneath that. So we need to do some stuff for that. That's going to mean... It's going to mean coming down here. I think that's what that's going to mean. Use half slabs in case I decide I need to weld this up later. Just because it uses fewer blocks. So, if we have this, and the car comes into park on this, the dune buggy parks. This should be plenty big enough. How far back from the front? That's not too far back. Question I hadn't thought of. That's a full block of clearance. Okay. So we could do... Man... It'd be a pain in my butt. Small connectors don't extend out far enough. But we could convert using something like a hinge or a rotor. Is that worth doing at that point, though? I don't know. Maybe? No, I don't think it would be. blind this way instead. So I can make these conveyors instead. Conveyor tuberinos. Or we'll just do pipes. And then an H2O2 gen on top of that. I like the lab one because it has bubbles. Oh, but we could bury it partway in the ground that way. Ah, here we go. Haha. Options. And then I just need to figure out a way to do this bit. Can I drop? What happens if we drop the wheels all the way down? Let's see. We take these off charge. It's the wrong way. That drops it flat. That's probably close enough. That's probably close enough. We just need to do whoop. Don't roll the cart. There's no gyros. Oh wait, there's a gyro. Haha, never mind. I guess I could roll the cart technically. But I do need to make this a little bit nicer to get down. So we'll just do these. And that should be enough. And then we can just drive up on. I may need to cut power to these wheels because they're a tad strong. If we do this, and then we flatten the car, we have a connector here. Do a switch lock operation here. How far off? We're a little short. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Just enough to potentially be a problem. Okay, so if we have that there, I need... Let's see, a wheel's going to be too much of a problem to fit into that space. I could put a mag plate and then just turn it off, and then there's something approaching a gap piece there. We're pretty much slammed right there, right? So, okay, I'm too far forwards. It's still not enough. Okay, if we come back a little bit. See, this is the problem with not being able to use third-person camera. Yeah, we gotta go lower still. Ooh, no, because the bumper on the front, the bumper blocks are still gonna block that. Huh. Okay. So we gotta go back up again. So what if we did... I could do like a chain of connectors, right? Because if we're doing smalls... Okay, this actually might work. This is goofy as all shit, but this might work. So let's get the pieces for 2 small insets, and we'll just double connector in. All right, so that goes like that, and then this one would go like that. This is the goofiest crap of all time. But if it works... If it works... Here's where we're going to lose car parts. Okay, there's sparks. We're scraping. We're too far forwards. Oh, we're locked. Okay, hang on. That. They call it refueling port. Refueling port. This should not be using park. But we are connected now. I don't know why it didn't say ready connect. But it didn't. Until we accidentally locked. But either way, that's... Oh crap, I gotta go the long way now. Because I built this, I no longer have convenient access from the other side. I'm going to fix that at some point. Oh, look at that. We're generating... Look at that. The steam turbine is going. Yeah, we're getting work done. We are burning coal to make power. How much coal are we burning for power? Let's take a look and see. We are currently burning... less than a liter per second. Well, we spike up to 2.25 liters a second. And then it tapers off because it fills up. 4/100ths of a coal per second. These technically have a little bit of a buffer to them, as does this. So theoretically, right? If we go back to the turbine. So this is pushing. It's trying. It's doing its best, and then this is picking up the difference because it does have 100 liters of steam buffer. So it will burn as it needs, and because of the way things work, steam doesn't ever recondense. Magic. Point is, we have plenty of stable power. The coal usage will be minimized as long as we're not burning more than whatever it can generate, and then this will soothe the difference in the beast. I forgot to grab my heat elements. Told them to print. I forgot to get them. Cool, we got this. I guess I should have built this the other way, so the bubbles flow the right direction. It's okay. Does it matter for it working? No. Do I want it to look nice, though? Yeah, actually I do. Considering but all the letters in the operating panels, keen. Keen. It's going to be upside down, isn't it? This is going to be upside down. Bubble's going to flow down. I'm just going to scream. Oh, good, they're going the right direction. Okay. But all the control panels. Keen, why you this way? This is not how electrolysis works. Okay, whatever. Either way, we can make all sorts of... Does this burn a full megawatt just passively? Okay, no, kilowatt. Okay, so it passively eats a kilowatt. I was about to be concerned. Very low tide. We can still... Oh, we're collecting still sweet. Okay, so that was the right place to stick that. We'll come up here, we'll throw this into here, and then we'll have fresh hydrogen in our car. Our fuel tank will be full. We're going to recharge anyway, just from extra power. In fact, look at this. Yeah. Cool. Let's put us on charge mode. Our tank is 100% full, just about. Yeah, now it's 100% full. Hell yes. Okay, that's taken care of and functional. We need to do some concrete at some point, but not quite. You know what? Actually, we've got the processing power for it. Let's go ahead and set up for some concrete. We can do concrete. Yes, we can. Where is my... I guess I took it off my thing. Cement kiln? Cement kiln. Yeah. Alright. take a look at here what we got going on. It's going to burn 3 megawatts at full tilt. And then, what is our layout? We got 2 inputs there and 1 back here. So I could do this. If I did this, I would need to build out a little bit more. I need to get my steel plates back. A dumb bug is bouncing off my office window. That's fine. Dumb bugs can be dumb. Let's see, I think this is probably the right size. Nope, I had it wrong. Alright, so we gotta do... We'll do this. Because then I can run a tube into here. We'll do this, and then we'll run this into a T. And then we'll just put more metal plate down here. In fact, we'll get rid of this, because we don't need these two. And then we'll just build up from here. Technically, none of these supports are needed, but I kind of want to make this look a little on the nicer side, so we're going to do that. There we go. This gives some options for things. Yeah, like with Industrial Overhaul, steam is really where you want to go for everything. Kind of like in real life, everything important at an industrialized power production scale runs off steam. Outside of like really large like solar fields and stuff like that. Like nuclear in real life collects the waste heat from the nuclear generation itself and the decay process and superheats water and pumps it through steam turbines. Coal plants generate steam and pump through turbines. Hydroelectric dams run turbines directly. Right, like it's technically not steam, but it also kind of is. The more efficient solar generation still relies on steam because it goes through superheating as far as that goes. I need construction. Oh man, is construction components going to be the problem for us? I bet you construction components will be the problem for us. Something simpler. No, what makes construction components? Is that the advanced? No, it's a fabricator, right? Yeah, okay. Now we're still making stuff. I'm just being impatient. Never mind. That's okay. That's okay. We will need 10 heating elements, but we can wait for this to do its deal. But because it is there, if you got access to coal, it's absolutely the way to go. It's really efficient, and it can produce a lot of power, and it's scalable. As far as like for static stuff, you don't really want to use it for like mobile grids because there is no small. That's not making the right block. There are no small grid coal boilers or steam turbines, right? And so we're looking at what 14.5 tons for a coal boiler. Sorry, 3.5 tons for a coal boiler, and a little over 4 tons for a turbine. So that's 8 tons plus like once you include like the steam pipes and stuff, and it's large because this is a 2x2x6 for the turbine, and then the boiler is a 6x2x3. So I mean that's a good chunk of space plus piping for the steam. So like for a large grid, unless you're going big on it, like making a reasonable ship-based power supply, or you've got turbines running for that, yeah, absolutely. You can do that just fine. You're better off going with gasoline engines, though, unless you really need the high power output the steam presents. So, in an Industrial Overhaul, liquid fuels, via gasoline and rocket fuel are like your gold standards for mobile stuff, and steam via coal or nuclear is your gold standard for static grids. You can do direct power off nuclear, but it's way less efficient. It makes a lot less power, and it burns at a lot higher rate than using nuclear to make steam. So it's just one of those things where that, you know, if you can, it solves your problems. If it doesn't, you can still go through and, you know, do wind, you can do solar. Industrial Overhaul has some improved turbines, and it has an entire class of solar cell that's a lot more effective and efficient. It generates more power, but it requires like higher end manufacturing. It's for like once you're golden, then you can do these. Until then, you can't. So can't withdraw 8 heating elements. Why are you taking so long? This is copper and ingots. Come on. You can do it. Cool. And I forgot to grab them. Silly me. Alright, we got ourselves a cement kiln. That's great. We need to set this up so we can make some. We're just going to do like 1,000. We'll start with that. 8 minutes, we'll have 1,000 concrete built. We can use that to build stuff. We will need... I really do like the animations, by the way, for all these. Like, some of the stuff is modeled after... or the modeling is inspired by some actual real-life instances of the turbines. And, like... you know, this is absolutely close enough to a press. Is it what we would use for plates? No, because that would actually be done in long rolls and we chop them. But, you know, whatever, abstraction. I just really like all the animations, like the turbine animations and the cement kiln with it rolling over and the gears working, and like even these when they're doing stuff, like there you can see here, I just finished, but like the wire moves and it does stuff, and like these do things, and like the munitions factories actually like do like it's cool. I really like all the animations that this mod adds to things. It's just, I just find it neat. I'm weird that way. Anyway, we have all this. We will need cement when we start building that stuff over there and the docks over here. So with this done, we should probably start working on, now that I got this refueling, a boat. I think a boat's next. So you need to be able to transport stuff. Because if we look at our map, I know like a mining rig is on the list of things, but if we look at our map, bauxite, cobalt, the easiest way to take care of this is going to be to have a smaller truck that loads onto a boat and goes from there. And we do have some options available for boats, especially when it comes to cranes, because we are running the pulley mod, advanced pulley systems. So we have access to things like actual pulleys, so we can do actual cranes, like in the introduction video. So we've got some options available to us. The question becomes how and when. How are we doing on coal? We got 1,000 liters there. There's probably some more left. How much coal is somewhere else? We got almost 3,600 coal. We'll see how this goes. We're at a little over a ton. I'm not too worried about it. Let's grab these plates. These plates, and we'll grab these plates, and all these too. How we doing? We're still in disassemble mode, but I think that means we've got everything done for the actual armor plates, and it's just taking apart the titanium now. Which should mean that our mod compatibility assembler should be able to start working on these, right? Oh wait, aluminum. We gotta do aluminum ingots still. What has aluminum in it? What are we taking apart that has aluminum? Not a whole lot else of relevance. So if you go over here to aluminum, I don't think we have a whole lot of aluminum plates. We don't have any. Okay, so we need to get some aluminum. We need to get some aluminum. That means you need to be able to take stuff to trade. Yeah, the more goofy it is, the better it is. That is true. So again, the easiest way to trade is going to be a boat. So we're going to do a small boat. We're not going to do a big boat. We're going to do a small boat. And, yeah. Small boat. Small boat. We do a temporary dock right here. Did that connect? That did connect. Okay. Alright, we got this, and then we're going to do... we're going to do a magnetic plate. That's facing the wrong direction. I remember how this game works. Do not faceplant into the cement kiln. That's a bad life choice. Okay. So options. We could do atmospheric thrusters, right? The problem is atmospheric thrusters are going to require titanium. And even at small grid size, that's a lot of titanium plate. We could do flat MOS, which requires a lot less titanium plate, but also makes less thrust. So let's take a look and see what we got going as far as that goes, and we'll do the same thing with hydrogens, because hydrogens aren't super efficient, but we're a boat. So we could theoretically scoop up ice and make our own fuel as we go, and not be super heavy about it in the process. We have some options that way. So, let's see, we don't want in large size, we want small size. Small grid, large atmo. It's 576 kilonewtons. It takes 2.4 megawatts of power. It's going to take 25 titanium plate. I don't like that. The small atmo is 5 for 96. Large flatmo. Large flatmo is way more efficient. It only takes 4 titanium. But it's got 2.5 times the thrust of a small atmo thruster. It's a lot more efficient. And the smalls are a single plate for 32 kilonewtons, which is a worse plate trade-off. So large flatmos or hydrogen not to care about power outside of what's needed to refine hydrogen as we go. And these don't require any titanium. They do require grids though. But cobalt's cheaper than titanium, and we can get more titanium. So no, I think we're gonna start off with the large flatmo. I think this is how this is gonna go. Can I place this and have it? Should be able to lift these, right? No. Come on. Get out of the water. Is it an issue of water resistance? Oh yeah, because I can pick these up this way. So let's do. We're going to do air tightness and specialized. We're just going to do. There's that. We're just going to lock this so that I can see what's going on with it. So I can make sure I aim in the right direction. Oh, we fell in the water. Never mind. So instead, we're going to do it this way. That's not super straight. Do I care? No. We're going to build up to the side. Get back here. Alright. If you take our flat mow, we stick it here. This is going to be the back and bottom of the boat. That's how this is going to work. So we can build off of this and go there. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 10 meters. Centerline keel. Let's go give a look at this thing. I'm going to run out of hydrogen and die, I know it. By the way, if you don't have the game, this coming end of the month weekend, construction components, is going to be a free weekend for space engineers, the 28th of August, and also like suits and stuff like that, like the skins like we just got from that are going to be at a much higher drop rate for the rare stuff. So if you're like, hey, I don't know if I want to actually play this game or if it's just something that's, you know, more fun, more enjoyable to watch, this is your chance to find out. It'll be free. Charge your power real quick. But 28th until the 1st. So does this thing slide into the water yet? Really, I'm just interested in the lithium cells at this point. There's nothing else really super neat on this. There's no aluminum, there's no titanium, there's no grids. I just wanted the lithium cells. Yep. Alright, let's go back to what we were doing out here. So we got this. This is 10 meters. And we'll just... You know, I have a mod to help make placing these a lot easier. And I don't recall the syntax for the command to help with that. That's something I need to look up before next stream. It allows you to fake building in creative mode to build like planes and stuff, as long as you have the blocks already in your inventory to place it. Like, you still have to weld them all up, but like the first block to place it is all stuff that you can do. So if we got all this here, let's assume this is the baseline. We have some options for flotation. We can either build voids underneath the main deck inside the hull. And as long as there is an air vent somewhere on the grid, it will calculate for air tightness and buoyancy properly. We can use empty cargo containers or tanks because as long as they're not filled with things, they are considered empty and therefore buoyant. And I think we're probably going to do maybe a combination of both, depending. Because I'm thinking of this as kind of having like a helm at the front, and then, or maybe at the back, and then a cargo thing on it somewhere. I mean, theoretically, I could just put one of those storage connexes on the deck, right? Like I've got transport containers, because there's two sizes. There's the crate, and there's the actual container itself. So that is an option available for the actual cargo. What is the 3.3 thousand liters for a 3x3x3 is the crate, and then the container is 31,000 for a 10x5x5. So it's 250 cubic meters at 31,000 versus 27 cubic meters for 3.3. Calculator, my brain's tired, I'm not doing math. So that's the wrong thing. 125 liters per cubic meter for the transport container. And then the transport crate, the 125. Yeah, so it's about the same. Like, it's technically slightly in favor of the crate, but the mass on the transport container is in its favor. Okay, so we could use these. Oh, this could be the goofiest barge of all time. Or we can use actual tanks and just not put stuff in them. Kind of like the lab hydrogen tanks. That's 75,000 liters in a 125 cubic meter space. That provides way more lift, right? Yeah, way more lift, I think. That's the same weight. Ooh, okay, so the hydrogen tanks I think are definitely the way to go then. We want them to be low-ish, but not so low that they are the bottom thing on the ship. But they do need to be spaced out to the side for stability reasons. Suit energy is low. I don't care. Just gonna place a pass. I hit the T button. Damn it. T is the single worst control in all of Space Engineers, because it's the auto-rotate toggle key, and no one wants auto-rotate. There's never been a point in time where auto-rotate has meaningfully saved anyone effort for anything, compared to just the problems that it causes. Yeah, hollow areas will provide the most lift in water. Technically, tanks cheat, because they can technically hold more space than they otherwise are allowed, because it is based off of their inventory space. It's a little goofy, but it does check out and hold. So we do this, go from here. So like if you've got a modded inventory container that holds way more, a far higher rate of volume for its actual size, you know, it's TARDIS-y. It stores more stuff than it should for how many blocks it takes up. You can absolutely use them to make like hyper buoyant blocks. And of course, any blocks that aren't welded up past their functional point aren't airtight either. So, yeah. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I want to do, like I'm thinking, like up to here will be hollow space on the inside. We'll just put like a vent in here to hide it. And then we'll have an actual deck layer on top. And then this will be where all the stuff is built, and then it'll come up and have like the gunnels and stuff like that on the side, and then we can put tanks for extra stability here-ish. So they're not like, yes, they're technically at, you know, deck level, but also not. Actually, hang on, if we did this here, we actually go up another step. Yeah. So this would actually be the deck height, not this. Because then this is a considerable amount of internal volume right in here, and then these just come out at extra level after that point. And that'd be pretty good. And then we could do stuff like we could use the panels as our sides, because all the space in these blocks that is not occupied by the block itself, all this empty space, is counted for buoyancy with the water mod. So this gives us a lot of bonus space for things, and also, if need be, like we could put a collector in the floor space and then an H2O2 generator and feed that into an internal actual tank. That we would just do like a smaller hydrogen tank here for thrusters, or power generation in this case. Can make a second one. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm thinking, right? Is we take this and we have come back here, spin this around the right way again. We just come up a couple levels. So glad I'm not having to build this, and I've got like some actual space still. So if we do that off to the side, so we could do something like that, and then could do another one up front, and then that provides some actual like stability for help prevent rolling, right? So most of the buoyant lift would theoretically be this central cavity, and there's some bonus stuff. A pontoon bridge would be nice. I kind of want to do like a retractable bridge, I think, at some point, because reliably crossing the river is going to be kind of important at certain places, but blocking off water traffic is bad. So we can either build really big arch stuff, or I could just have like a drawbridge that raises and lowers and use broadcast controllers and event or action relays and broadcast controllers and set up like signaling and stuff like that for them. Because like this is kind of short and stubby, but also like we'll have a little bit of bow lift on the front afterwards. I'm gonna go recharge my batteries before I run out of power. Not that it's gonna hurt me. We're on, you know, a planet that has an atmosphere, but then my lights go out. Potentially, I kind of want to. I think I want to try to keep as much of the cargo space centerline as possible, like used cargo centerline as possible. But that doesn't mean that we can't use cargo again for stabilizing lift. There are some options available to us for that. Let's start welding before I build too many things and completely forget what I was doing and have to cut things back open again in order to complete welding them. Because that's not going to be fun. Nobody likes that. Like, ideally, longer term, they would be like heavy armor plate on the outside of this stuff. And it wouldn't be, because just for the durability, and it wouldn't be that big a problem. But we don't have the space for that. I'm kind of thinking maybe end up with it looking kind of like a tugboat. Just a crit up, you know, could do it like all those, you know, pontoon houseboats that YouTubers are building. Here's a bunch. Oh wait, hang on. The cargo barrels, right? The cargo barrels. I wonder if these float. Hang on. We could do something hilarious. Hang on. Oh, we're below the tide line now. Do the storage barrels float? I think the problem is I have to have a battery on this in order to use the buoyancy readout. Oh wait, hang on. Can we turn on water mod? No, we can't. So we have to use. How much solid mass can one of these things lift? Let's go get 2 cells. No, I don't want this on here. Give me my 2 cells. Seriously, a copper wire short. Okay. There we go. Alright, so this is 400 kilos. There is a buoyancy LCD. What's the buoyancy ratio? 3.4 kilonewtons. So I think that means if I did a second one of these, that would float. You know, actually, hang on. Let's do a second LCD. We'll do the buoyant force, and we'll do the buoyant ratio as the other one. We'll just get them both at the same time, and we'll figure out exactly how much. Alright, we are at 104% buoyancy overall for the grid. 664... 6.4 kilonewtons of flotation for 650 total mass. So we are just about at that point. What if we turn on... center. It's 8.6 tons. But how much of that is tank? Less than I would have expected. I mean, the buoyancy is about there. And if we take the battery off, like the battery is a huge chunk of mass on that. Like that was a third of the weight. So let's This is a terrible idea, but I want to do it now. Oh boy. We're gonna drop this here. Did it lock? It did not lock. That's fine. That's fine. Have the music back on because I just now realized that it stopped. That's fine. We're going to leave this here for right now, because there's every possibility we have to come back to this. You know, that is true. Could absolutely warhead that. So one other mod that's part of this list is the rudders mod, which if you have gyros and you assign the rudder tag to them, they will behave for spinning the grid they're attached to like they're a rudder. So it'll be based on like center of mass and front versus back according to cockpits, and it'll provide more turning power at higher rates of speed and stuff like that. We don't do anything. Anyway, it's kind of neat. So we don't have to have, like, rather than spinning on the center axis, you spin based on the bow shape. I played around with it some. I thought it was pretty neat, so I did include it in this playthrough. And I think it probably has some opportunity for some fun shenanigans that can be leveraged. Oh wait, no, because this is this has to be built like it's one of those YouTuber boats, because you can only stack them side by side because that's where the mount points are. Okay, so we go back to beam blocks now, right? So let's do beam blocks. I could do half beams. We could do... do I do beams this way? Yeah, I think we do. So we'll do beams and we'll attach to the beams. I'm out of steel plate somehow. Because of course I am. Because I keep putting stuff away and using it, that's how. That's fine. So we're going to come back over here, we're going to do this. Yeah. Alright, so we're looking for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we stick with the same length, right? How many of these does that let us do? Not terrible. We're a little bit longer, but we won't really have like a bow, so it won't matter. Then again, we can cheat this because we can technically sack on the sides, right? Nope. We do need this to be... In fact, if we're doing this goofy raft thing, we could go wider than we would have with the boat. Is this the silliest way to do this? Yes. Worst case scenario, this is a little bit of a waste of time, and that's about it. Yeah. Well, so depending on how much buoyancy we get, let's do this like 6 sets of containers wide, 6 barrels wide. We might be able to get it to actually sit like a pontoon. In which case we don't have a front, which in a way works better with the water mod. The way the water mod works for calculating drag, it's based on the portion of the grid, its selection box, its bounding box, which is always, you know, an equilateral, or it's always some sort of rectangle. Quadrilateral. There we go, not equilateral. Quadrilateral. Shape. Like when you look at, well, if you go to copy paste it, whatever that shape is, the part that's below the water, that's how it calculates drag based on that face. So like narrower things are better than wider things. The shape of like the blocks doesn't matter. It doesn't get that simulationist with it because efficiency and calculations. So if we do 5, let's do 1 more. So like, while it would be neat to be like, yeah, let's properly shape the hull, shape the hull, and you know, like give it strakes and stuff like that, and go through and like missed a block, and do things like actually interact with the water and give like actual rudders and see, on a sailing boat, dagger boards, like dagger boards to keep it going straight. You can't do that with the water mod because it doesn't actually process any of the stuff. There's no like interactions physically with it. So I appreciate that. This is the goofiest thing, and I just gonna sit here and just slam build planner a whole bunch of times, and go from there. But it would be really neat to be able to like drop a dagger board or build a dagger board in and use it for stability and direction control and steering and all that stuff. I just can't do it with the mod, unfortunately. Do I have, no I don't. So somebody has like a mod that adds like strings of like fairy lights or Christmas lights or whatever you have to call them for your part of the world, to the game. I might have to add that, like if this works, I might have to add that in. Because running a string of those around the outside of this barge would be hilarious. We're out of everything of value here in our inventory. We just got a bunch of garbage. Alright, because of the stuff that I got rid of. Let's see, so we're going to go just slam this a whole bunch of times. Can't drop the structure components. There to start. We're working on those. I'm out of energy. Really? Kind of annoyed it took me a couple seconds to realize that too. So if this works, we could put one of those storage containers on the deck, a standing helm, and then do we just do a battery at that point? Like, do we just run an alkaline battery just for the sake of it at that point? Just be done with it? I kind of feel like, despite the extra titanium plate, we almost want to go with the small full Atmo thruster just for appearances. Crash into the cement mixer. Not yet. I haven't done that on camera yet. I'm actually kind of surprised. Testing out this barge might, unfortunately, be the last thing we do for this stream, because my hands are starting to get to the point where it's going to be really unfun times. But we'll see. We'll see how far it goes. Could I run connectors down here? Oh, too far. Conveyors out here and I drop a connector or like a cargo access point to make this easier, yes. But also, this is very temporary construction. Yeah, this is still very temporary construction, and I don't want to build out too much infrastructure yet, because everything I build here I'm going to take back down. That said, I think we're getting pretty close. But I didn't die. Like I've definitely cracked a couple ribs off that one, and I did, like sprain an ankle earlier landing off the hydrogen boost. But I haven't died yet on camera to it. That's the important part at the end of the day. one large tube short. Alright, we should be fully functional here. All these are welded up to functional. Let's... I mean, this doesn't seem bad. This is... I can't see... Okay, there we go. So a small grid, yeah. Is it because it's not out of the water? It's probably because it's not out of the water. It's fine, we'll just drag it over here to the beach. We'll slam it into our ice collector. Yeah, it's because it was underwater. So we'll just we'll drag it up while the tide is a little bit higher. It's definitely heavy enough I can't lift it out of the water. So we're 9.5 tons. That's not terrible. Like I've seen worse. We're going to throw an anchor on this so it can't float away. It can't withdraw steel plates. How can we not withdraw steel plates? Are we out of iron? No. Oh, it's because the plate assembler is still probably in disassembly mode, making the titanium. Right. That's fine. We're just gonna... Oh, crap. Can I get it? Can I get this back off? Back off the shore now. There we go. Oh, come on. You can do it. Come on. We'll push it. The tide's going back out. I left it too high. Beach too high. Ugh. We're gonna hit it with some speed. It'll push. Yeah. Okay, we're getting deeper. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. And now we'll just run around and drop this. You know what? We'll put it in the front where it belongs. We don't have a centerpiece. Oh no, we're an odd... Oh, yes we do. Yes we do. We're fine. How do I want to do this? Cool. And then we can just grind those blocks off again because they don't matter. Then, do I need power to deploy the anchor? That's the question I don't know the answer to. I don't think I've tried to use these on an unpowered craft before. Nope. Sweet. This is another use turbine. It's an actual anchor. It drops, it anchors itself in the voxel beneath it. You can set how far out it's allowed to winch in and out, so you can have some actual drift, or you can drag things underwater. They come in large and small size. They go out a considerable distance to chain length. And they're going to absolutely be used for a whip. Was that seriously AHE stuff moving at that high rate of speed? Those guys were fast. I guess that's AHE. Oh wait, here we go. Home Slice is zipping. No damage, so they're not fighting anything. But they definitely went over that mountain, so there goes my thought that we might be able to be safe from that direction. If they can get over it, the GC sure can. Man, they're zooming. Okay, so we have this. This does work, technically. Can we put a transport container on this thing? Let's see, if we center it, it'd be somewhere there-ish? No, that sank. Though it might be because of the anchor. Hang on. It's kind of floating. Nope, it's sinking. Dang. So we can't. Oh man, that's bad though, because that means we can't use, and it comes right back up. They don't have enough buoyancy. Huh. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Alright, so party barge is a no. Ooh, or maybe how much does this anchor weigh? It's less than a ton. Was it just like a balance issue because the anchor was a little bit farther forwards? Let's just come back and start. Left-right buoyancy seems to be fine. It just seems to be the front-back is kind of goofy. But that does kind of work. So maybe it was just... We put a second when we do sync. So they don't provide... No, they just don't provide enough flotation. That's unfortunate. Also, that makes no sense. Like, that should be... If we could do hollow channels if I made them out of... No, because these are not airtight. Dude, what are you... You get stuck in my kilt? Is that what your issue was? How about you don't do that? You have an entire dish of food right there. Why are you being this way? That you're not getting extra treats because I'm streaming. You got your treats at stream start, before cameras went live. You don't get more. My cat, I swear. So we could do a hollow channel. It's day 4. Dawn of day 4. We could do a hollow channel. I could do a plate cover. I wonder if... Yeah, large tanks would, but it's not quite... It doesn't have that 55-gallon drum feel. But I feel like the math on these is way fucking off, because these should have more buoyancy for the volume of space they occupy for their mass. So let's do another experiment here. If we take a beam block, we weld it up, and we put plates on all the faces so it becomes a sealed block. Does this float better than just, just the beam block on its own otherwise, or just a regular welded light armor block? So I'm going to say that the air gap in the beam blocks isn't being calculated. Properly. That's what I think I'm going to say here. I'm going to say the air gap in a beam block isn't being calculated. So, effectively, holding all this together is just... It's being treated like it's just a bunch of regular light armor plates. Which is mildly annoying because that's not remotely how that should be. Oh, you're right, it does need a vent. Dude. Let's try that again. That is 100% correct. It needs a vent to be calculated as anything other than a solid block. Yeah, the backside of that sealed. Alright, now this is considerably heavier now as a result. But if the air gap's being calculated, it shouldn't matter, it should still float. Maybe not. Let's try putting a vent on... Like, I mean, yeah, there's economy of scale, right? But maybe let's just try putting a vent block here. Just in case something is not being calculated the way it should. Drag it out to slightly deeper water. Because the alternative at this point would be to replace the beams with panels, but then we lose some buoyancy anyway because these are not airtight. Nothing about them is airtight except for their internal contents. So these should still be getting treated as hollow blocks for their size. Depressurized doesn't matter. This has to be on so that it can run calculations. Do you need a battery for a vent? It doesn't have to be on with the water mod. We can give it a shot and see. It doesn't have to be on, it doesn't have to be doing anything, it doesn't have to be venting in or out, it just has to be on the grid because that's how it knows what to find to try to define the edges of. Like, no difference in behavior. It's viewing all these beams as solid blocks regardless. Actually, hang on, what we can do, we can put a lithium-ion battery back down. We can put an LCD back in. And we can see what it reads. For statistics at least, right? So let's test this here. Let's see. Apps. What is our buoyancy ratio? We're at 106%. We also dip down below, depending. So if it's fully submerged, we are buoyant. But if we put stuff on top of it or any of it comes up out of the water, we lose buoyancy ratio for us. Hovering around 100 kilonewtons. Like, the buoyancy offered by the crates could theoretically balance it out more. But I think, unfortunately, we have to say that the barge test isn't going to work unless we replace all these with tanks. I'm willing to bet if we replaced all these with tanks, it'd work a lot better. Keyword yet, that's fair. That is fair. Throw these in here. But it does mean we couldn't do a lot of heavy capacity. So, at which point we're back to doing the same thing we were before, of using tanks. Because, like, I'm willing to bet if we did this and welded this up, we're going to see that this front end just doesn't dip anymore. Yeah, like it's pulling up against the anchor now. And these are just small tanks, right? Like these are small oxygen tanks. That's it. So I think we have to ditch this idea and go with the original plan over here. And just do it. Do it. Young Skywalker. That's a shame. Maybe I will... We could cheat. We could cheat. We can absolutely cheat. We don't have any aluminum to put these together yet, do we? Yeah, we're still missing aluminum. We have titanium. In fact, let's just empty out everything out of all these into cargo containers. They're out of space, but it doesn't really matter. I guess it technically matters. Need to get all this gravel out of here anyway. Hang on, let's get all this. Okay, hang on. We got so much. Hang on, what? Why do we have stone here? The gravel. I know why we have gravel is because we chewed up a bunch of stone, and the gravel we have to manually move over here anyway. So let's do that real quick. Put this stuff away, and then I can just click drag instead. That's not the right thing. That's the right thing. Oh no, it's full. Okay, well you know what that means? Gotta do it sideways. Man, making a fool of myself. Okay, and now we get more gravel. We shove it into our Connex boxes. Because we're going to need it. We're going to need all this gravel and then some for all the cement we need later on, for all the concrete. But, like, we don't need it up in here right now. We definitely don't need it in the mod compatibility assembly. Where's the other gravel? I wish you could... Like, I understand why these boxes you can't like conveyor to them. I do wish you could like force things into them though. You know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah, I cut a hole in this box and now all this crap is here. feel like that would be kind of neat. I'm just gonna rip all this stuff back out. We want all the titanium back out so that we can properly move stuff around. Cool. Okay. So how much titanium do we have now that I got sidetracked? 1.7 thousand. Plus a whole bunch more plates that haven't been taken apart yet. Okay. So really we're just down the aluminum. Yeah, the balloon mod is really sweet. I'm really happy with it. We don't have any little plates. We can't take those apart. Okay, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this later, because there's a possibility we could do something with this if we cheat and just put like a vacuum cell or two hidden below decks. Because no one has to know, right? It's a river barge. Either that or I go back in and I go through and set like an explicit override for how much buoyancy those cargo containers should have. Then again, there's not really a reason for those cargo containers to weigh 400 pounds either. You know, like, what, 180 kilograms or something like that? So, I mean, it's close enough to that. So we don't need this. Actually, we do eventually need that. So, to do this, we don't need this, though, because that's the wrong block for that spot. Need steel plate. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So there's the stern of the boat. Yeah, so the plan, the goal is to have like hangar door entryway, but then like all the storage locations would be turned off that center line. So like the US Air Force kind of does it with their Air Force bases and stuff out in the West, where like there's either from Cold War times or more recent times, like you'll have the main drag for everything, and like the old like nuclear missile bases for the F series, where this way you've got the main place you drive down, but then everything for storage is turned off to the side. So like if somebody like blasts something down the center of the hangar straight away, it doesn't take out anything of relevance. So the hope is, or the plan right now is to have a hangar entryway and then storage for like fighter craft or whatever, the fighter planes specifically, would go off to the side in little mini hangars, and then like everything else of relevance or importance would be on a different level. It'd be up, it'd be down. Like I want to do like the industrial stuff up in the mountain itself, or up into the mountain itself, and then like all the living quarters above that, and then like maybe the Zeppelin hangar above that. It's possible that the Zeppelin hangar is never going to materialize, and the Zeppelin's just going to be anchored at the top of Hat Mountain. And it'll be vulnerable, but also it's going to be a gun Zeppelin. So it won't really matter that much, right, if that makes sense? At least that's my line of thought on it. I don't know, maybe that's going to be completely wrong and change over the next couple weeks. But the end goal is still, I want to have a big battle Zeppelin. Let's drop a steel plate in the ocean. Do. Because then, like, cars and stuff could also like pull up and in. So like the dune buggy and whatever transport truck or mining assist vehicle gets built could drive in and park as well, and it wouldn't be that big a deal. Let's go ahead and get this strung up and going. Cool. And then let's keep welding stuff. So we're gonna have a little bit of depth to us here, but like this is gonna be a huge amount of energy. There's gonna be a huge central void here, right? So like between that and then the gas tanks for stability, I don't think there'll be any issues. I think those cargo barrels aren't being calculated properly by the water mod, because they're not being treated as though they're hollow storage inventories, and they don't have a massive discrepancy in like their physical block volume versus their internal storage volume. So I think they're just not being treated correctly by the water mod, because they're acting like they're just solid blocks. Which, I mean, theoretically that should be fixable. You know what? Hang on a second. What is the... Yeah, here we go. The cargo crate. Does this float like it's an inventory object? Or does it float like it's just a large solid block? It doesn't float at all. Oh. Okay. Maybe this is the issue. What does this classify as? I wonder what kind of block this classifies as. I wonder if that's part of the issue. I wonder if it's got a block class that's not considered valid for like an inventory object. Because they're not cargo containers. Like, these are cargo containers. And tanks are tanks. But like these, they've got cargo capacity, but they're not a cargo block. Water jet skis. Man, you could do some goofy stuff if you do it right. But also, like the storage barrels don't show up in the regular inventory screen, they show up in the personal inventory screen. And I'm willing to bet that the cargo crate does as well. I'm wondering if that's part of the issue. I wonder if they're of a block class that the water mod's just not looking to compare like internal inventory space. I feel like that's probably part of it. So I may need to go, if I get a chance, look into that and see what... Maybe I can use like mod adjuster to add an additional class to check, or report it on the water mod page. Alright, back to tanks. So we want to use the lab hydrogens. We're going to start here. Eventually, we can relocate these. So I don't want these going up above. And we can make these wider later on. Because this way it looks like they're anchored, using those side plates. Didn't take damage that time. Yeah, and I normally don't like using tanks for like flotation reasons, but as small as this thing is and as dense as the storage could potentially end up, I don't want to accidentally sink it in the harbor outside the AHE HQ, because I don't have a way to recover it if so. It's like purely for selfish reasons. And really, these tanks are just going to be effectively pontoons. Like, the tanks don't have greater buoyancy than their same physical volume in empty space. If I were to use like steel plate and use panels to recreate the exterior shape, they'd have the same buoyancy the way the water mod works, minus like the vent, right? And whatever, like any difference. Technically, these are worse because they weigh more than the same volume of empty plate space would. So they're technically not as good, but their purpose is primarily stability. What do you mean cannot withdraw small tubes? Are we even making tubes? With the extruder just that far behind? Yeah, it's just that far behind. Okay. I guess I can't complain too much then. And then see, for the front, I need to get some more steel plate. I guarantee I don't have enough. I think we're going to use the 45s and just build out from here. But at that point, do I want to... let's do this slightly different. And I'll go back and replace this other block here in a second. Come in here. Replace that one. Upside down. Because again, this doesn't matter for resistance checks for moving, but it will matter for like resistance checks for lateral movement, and so giving us a longer front submerged section will, one, increase the potential impact of like currents on the side of the boat, and also help keep us kind of stabilized from the front. The way I did this, I have to fly and weld these from below, and then finish the rest up front. I've got a lot of goofy-ass shaping work to do here in the meanwhile. So normally, for like a boat, you wouldn't use the same hull shape as this the whole way up. Like, the shaping of the hull very much matters. Because the way the water mod works, it does really And I'm somewhat anticipating we're going to sit somewhere around here-ish submerged, so you're not going to see most of this anyway. So it's not that big a deal. We can always do some decorative stuff with that too. And then we just come down here and we just get a couple of extra bonus shapes. Like this one. We go that. And then we just do these. Is this greebling going to add extra weight? Yes. Is that technically going to work against us? Yes. But it also means that I should have some extra room as far as like center of mass, center of buoyancy goes, to move some stuff further back and counteract this some. Also, this will have some buoyancy because the entire thing on the inside is going to be... that's the wrong shape. I'm just scrolling the wrong direction with it. The entire thing will have that internal shape to it, right? So, like, as far as... airtightness is concerned, as long as I don't bounce off something, it won't be that big a deal. And later, when we have an actual proper dry dock, I'll be able to greeble this stuff a lot easier and more nicely. Because... how do I want to do this shape? I think we're still going to be going back to these. I'm going to give it a kind of a square front. Yeah. Okay. It's going to look a little brutalist. Is it going to get the job done? Yes. If this is not stable enough for like lateral roll issues, I'm just going to put these out on... I was going to push these out on runners. We'll just do some outboard rigging, and it'll be fine. It'll all work out in the end. And in the worst case, we have a slightly aggressive, like, cigar shape. And it's not that big a deal. Like, either way, this won't be a problem. Sun's getting low. Technically, it's midday. There we go. Yeah, steel plate. Well, because I don't know how rough this is going to be yet. Like, theoretically, I would love to use heavy plate because the mass difference, especially with IO, is not that much, and we can just do the whole thing hollow. But the buoyancy losses from these small portions is not going to be enough to matter. And at the end of the day, this is a good enough boat. If we make it too big and too fancy, it's going to elevate our threat score too quickly and advance things too quickly. Because when you get around 500, that's going to potentially be when we start to see problems and issues. Then, just for a little bit of redundancy, we're going to double up this piece here. Just in case I clip something a tad hard. I don't want to lose an entire chunk of the ship. That unknown signal is 3.5 kilometers away. Which means it's going to fall into the lake, because this lake is 8 kilometers across. Not anything fancy, so I don't care. But there's this, and then... You know, these have probably been extruded. So we'll get our last pieces for this. Cool. We got one large flat mow, which is going to pull... How much again? Does it fall in the water? We're looking at 1 megawatt max, which for... Like, we could run lithium from that. We don't have the advanced computers. No, we do have the advanced computers for that. I don't think we have the power cells, though. We could do the small lithiums, because that's 2 power cells per, so we're looking at, what, 5 batteries? Let's say 6 to include the gyro. So we're looking at 1.2 megawatts for 12 power cells. That's better for what we actually need. Nope, just power cells. Okay. That's fine. We can work with this. So the big thing with carriers is to make sure when you can to maximize your sealed spaces, right? Bulkheads, automatically closing doors, stuff like that, so that when you open a door to go on deck or out, you don't suddenly vent all your buoyancy at once and then crash. Because if it's got enough mass, it will fall fast enough through the water, it will blow up when it hits the seabed. Unfortunately, I know this from experience. But with really big ships, unless you're building like super densely, it's actually easier to float than you'd think. Because like any light armor blocks have more buoyancy. Anything in light armor has more buoyancy than it takes up in volume. Heavy armor, no, but light armor, yes. I'm going to keep these on the inside of this block face so that it forces me to not build against the edge. Panels don't have armor deformation from damage, but it's a habit I'm always in anyway. Let's see, the no guns here was a pretty large ship, and it had 0 issues floating. But it was bulkheaded to hell and back, and it had a full suite of Industrial Overhaul production machines, and the equivalent of 9 loaded heavy cargoes. So like it's super efficient to do, but it's also easier. Like bigger ships are easier to float as long as you build them in a balanced fashion than smaller ships, just because you have so much more space to work with. The big problem is that by default, most heavy armor, when it takes any damage, it stops being airtight. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot to fall below that functional value. So, like, I/O changes it. If you're not using Industrial Overhaul, it matters though. Alright, so we have this. I think what I'm going to do is use panels for the flooring rather than full blocks. Or maybe I don't. No, I think we're going to. Like, we have to use full blocks along the edge, which, yes, I realize did the wrong thing, but whatever. We're going to use 45-degree blocks for all these anyway, just so we can get half the block's volume and buoyancy back. Because in small grid, it doesn't change. Everything is one piece. So, like, the mass is the same. Large grid is not the case. Right, large grid there's proportional change, but like the small grid, because everything is one steel plate, you can't do like fractional steel plates. Yeah, double hull. If you were intending to see anything involving combat, double hull is almost a necessity. And bulkheads are also a necessity. Like, you can't not have bulkheads. Because this first time anything gets popped on the ship, otherwise, there goes all of your air tightness, there goes all your buoyancy. Oh, nice. Yeah, anything you can do to automate, like, drones, because, like, guns are good, right? But if you can send drones out to take care of things instead, and you just provide fire support from afar, yeah, it's always the better way to go. Always. Make a mess in the ocean. At some point, I will probably need to set up some AI-enabled bots for helping weld and maintain things. No extra blocks there. I mean, this is a little on the aggressive side for the shaping, but I don't hate it. We could move this tank forward to block if needed. Oop. We'll need to put batteries in. Wait, I'm silly. We have the battery blocks. We have the batteries, we can do this. We can absolutely do this. Alright, hang on. What is... Small lithiums are 150 kilos apiece. A regular lithium is 1,200 kilos. So we're more mass efficient to go with the full size instead, which means we need 20 power cells. How many power cells do we have in here? 6. We need 14 more.
Inventory full.
Of course, inventory's full. Cool, so that should be enough. That's the wrong size. That's not what I said to do. Let's try this again. There. That's the one I want. Alright, let's see. Center mass is currently still slightly forwards. What about center of buoyancy? I may not be able to see that without this being detached. Let's assume for right now, it's in the middle. And we can make adjustments later. Yeah, it does kind of have... something glitched the ground at some point. It does kind of have that feel to it for the look. I was going to shape the front more, but also I decided not to. And it is a pretty aggressive front end of the ship because of that. So maybe, depending on how things go and how stable this eventually ends up, right? Like, it may end up being where we have enough buoyancy, we don't need these tanks for anything, at which point maybe they just disappear, and then... Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh, wait, maybe that's... Is that the center of buoyancy marker for this grid? No. There's something in the water over there at the AHE HQ. You can see the marker for it. No, that's... It's probably for the base. Yeah, that is an option too. That is always an option. Because, like, right now, if we're not running, like, H2O2 gen and a collector for its own fuel, none of that particularly matters. Like, we could get away with a lot of goofy stuff as a result. Yeah, it's because it's not in the water. Yeah. Probably right. You know what we are going to do, though? We're going to go ahead and put the vent on this thing. Where did the vent go? I had a vent block. There it is. We're going to put this in the back, because theoretically, I'm going to be less likely to accidentally smash it in the back. I mean, it technically doesn't even have to be welded. It just has to have the block on the grid somewhere. I know. Stuck. Did grind my way back out. There we go. There we go. When in doubt, panic flail. Panic flailing is a great tactic. So once this works, if this can go, we can take a trip upriver, find out what AHE is currently willing to buy that we can sell. Like, we'll load some stuff in advance. But we'll see what we have that they're willing to buy and for how that just fell one. And for how much. And then we can use that to buy either some bauxite ore to refine into aluminum. Or we'll just buy aluminum directly. And then, once we have that, we can cheat our raft. And then once we have cheaty raft, wait, maybe we don't cheat the raft. Maybe that's the entire point. Maybe instead of cheating and hiding like a vacuum balloon below the superstructure, we just put a balloon on top. Because again, kind of Crimson Skies-y. Crimson Skies, they put giant Zeppelin balloons on actual, like, ironclad, like, patrol boats and shit like that. All the time. You know? So they only buy ore in V2. In V1, they will still buy ingots. But that's because originally there were supposed to be a lot more plans for how the economy works in areas of war, and Keen's refusal to open up access to the contract system outside of utilizing their like economy station spawns kind of torpedoed that, which is why V2 is a completely, like, outside of the stuff that's specific to Ares itself, and even that's undergone some changes to the planet, like with the war maps and stuff. That's why it's completely different in V2. Because V2, the whole point is you should be able to provide the things that the colony needs to make what they want, and then they will take care of it yourself. I do want to gyro on it before I will it all the way up. That is a good point. Let's see, whereabouts? We're going to stick it on the back. We're going to stick them on the back. Make sure we give them the rudder keyword so they operate with that rudder mod. And then they're also back in the water. You know, here's a question. Gonna put this. So if we could do here. Okay, we'll do that there, which means I need to put a plate on the inside edge. How do I do that? That's going to split it off because that's... So really the fix is this block. This block needs to change to one of these. I know it can't because it's got to be... Yeah, it can. because that keeps the interior shaped the way I want it to be, and allows this to anchor there. And then we can very carefully get that. Cool. And now we're sealed there again, and then I can put the anchor block here. TTMB, who's that? What faction is that? I don't know who has the TTMB. Somebody lost something. I was barely moving. It nearly killed me though. Ooh. It's like when you turn a corner and you bounce your knee off of like a coffee table or something like that, except at just 20 meters a second. Yeah, I want to rear weight a little bit on this because there does need to be a cargo container somewhere amidst all this. Oh, I forgot to actually get the pieces because I nearly killed myself. And we're still going to need to do things like lights and stuff in the front. Like, there's going to be a lot more weight that gets added, pushed forwards. So I don't feel bad about backloading a little bit of this. And we can always shuffle around some of these blocks as necessary too for providing buoyancy. If I have to. Like, I can put some small tanks in the back if I really need to. As the tide comes in, you can see the moving buoyancy lines for calculating buoyancy on this grid. Alright, there's that. We need a helm. Like the solar winds of space, yeah. Okay, so we have this. Need to watch out for that power line. So we'll do this. Actually, no, we need this to be in the front. Because the cargo has to be towards the back, because I can't third person anything. And so if I have it in the back, we have to do a front console, despite the fact that it makes no sense for this bow shape. If we don't do a front console, I can't see shit. Okay, let's do a couple things here, because we have some panels we can do stuff to with this helm. So, gyroscopes. Just going to rename this one here, and then just do rudder. I'm going to add this to the other one as well. And this is going to be main cockpit, but we are going to not have an antenna, so we don't have to worry about any of that stuff being involved there. And then for apps, for the small screen, we're going to do let's just do buoyancy ratio. And we'll see how that goes. And then I guess put a hose back here for power for right now. And then we'll just do a purging station hookup here. Then it's kind of like shore power. Fine, you know what? We're just going to cut it free. The only concern I've got is that I've got no reverse. Maybe we'll hide a reverse thruster in here somewhere. Because I can't... Okay, we can turn this way. Because the gyro is probably not set to override properly yet. Yep. That's what I was afraid of. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I have to look up how that's set for that mod. Alright, so what did I blow up? Just the tank. It's a mild deformation, it doesn't matter. Here's the question, did I lose anything with that tank that I can't replace easily part-wise? No, nothing that matters that doesn't look like. Yeah, this is all stuff we can easily replace. So we're just gonna fix all this. We are far faster in water than I expected we would be. That could become a problem. And I think that means we have to correct the no braking force thing now. Because I cannot rely on just... Like, our center of buoyancy is way below our center of mass. But that's okay, because we're not loaded with anything yet. And we're holding at 100% buoyancy, so that's the important part. Okay, so we're going to cut a hole. Oh yeah, we drop like a rock. You're 80% buoyant without this main central chamber. So there's that. Then we go back to our thrusters. We're going to do small flat nose, 2 small flat nose for reverse thrust. Yeah, so the issue is more that we had way too much spent. Okay. Like... Holy shit, we're fast. We're doing 50 meters a second? That's, almost 100 miles an hour? A little over 100 miles an hour? A whaler PT ship. Yeah, no, we've got Coast Guard would love to get their hands on this thing. Okay, we're more efficient than I thought we would be. If I drop the anchor, I know I can bring us to an immediate stop, but I'm pretty sure it's going to flip us, and then the speed with which we would re-enter the water. If we fully leave the water, the problem is going to be the speed we re-enter it is going to blow parts up. But like, look at that anchor just snapping us back around. Like, that's beautiful. I love that. That's outstanding. Like, this anchor mod is glorious. I've played with this thing a lot off stream since Uzar first came up to like, hey, just so you're aware, I've made this glorious thing, and I'm like, yes, this is indeed glorious. It's amazing. So we don't necessarily need them on the tanks because we have the 2 internal ones, and that's good enough. And we'll spin this way. We got shore power now. The anchor's just going to keep doing its thing, bouncing us around. Let's just throw some dampeners on to slow that a little bit. Now that we're on shore power, because we can go in on the anchor and shorten or lengthen the cable. Like right now, we're absolutely pulling ourselves into the water. Okay, this works. So the question is, if we throw a big transport container on this thing, which I mean, I guess if we center it, shouldn't be that big a deal, right? Center it slightly back. But do I want to be more back heavy than front heavy? No, not really. Let's pull it forward a little bit, though. I changed my mind. We are 5 blocks wide, right? Yeah, 5 blocks wide. We'll do that. We do have a little bit more buoyancy towards the front than we do in the back. 111 miles an hour. I was in the rough ballpark. That's still absolutely insane. 111 miles an hour in water. You know, maybe the water mod was updated and the slope front does matter now. It didn't used to. That's sideways, son of a bitch. Yeah, it's absolutely a narco boat. Like, Coast Guard would love to get their hands on this thing. You're like, hey man, I got a boat that does 111. It doesn't shake every filing out of your teeth. They'd be like, shit, yeah, brother. I'm ordering 1,000. We'll get the funded from Congress later. Alright, so our center of buoyancy is bouncing back and forth, but it's good enough. As we load things into this. What happens if we just chop these off?
Inventory full.
Like, does it meaningfully impact anything? Here, we'll put all the parts inside here. Change this from buoyancy ratio to buoyant force. I don't think these have any value being on here at all. In all honesty with you at this point. Like, our center of buoyancy hasn't meaningfully shifted any. Now we don't need safety balance. We got gyros.
Inventory full.
I'm gonna grind this thing off and I'm gonna roll this thing
Inventory
immediately.
full.
Watch. My hubris is gonna come calling. I mean, it needs some greebles, but and a ladder. That's not bad. So much scrap metal for me blowing shit up. Alright, let's get some stuff. Let's see, ingots. Iron gut. Let's just get a shit ton of iron. and bring it with us. Because there's no way they're not going to buy iron. Everybody buys iron. I don't know what components they're going to buy, but we got this at least. So we're going to take a quick trip. Home power. Let's see. Undeploy that. Why do I have no thrust control? We have battery power. Is the battery... Did I do something goofy like put the battery on charge? No, it's on auto mode. Wait, why are they all off? Let's clear that override. Okay, there we go. Do we roll? Do we stay functional? Yeah, but I mean that's kind of the risk. I can manually roll us. What happens if I turn off dampeners? Oh, this feels upsettingly smooth. I've checked it. They'll buy the ingots in V1. Like, they'll also sometimes buy the ore, but in V1 of version 1 of Ares ore, they will buy ingots. They'll also buy, Wait, are we planing? Holy shit, we're planing. Okay, maybe that was updated with the water mod then. They'll also buy components and stuff. So we got some components. We'll see what we got. We are loaded down enough with things we're not hitting 110 miles an hour. I'm aware you're saying they only buy ore, but I'm telling you, I have checked. They've had ingots for purchase list. It rotates through, but they will buy ingots at times. We did an entire previous playthrough selling only the ingots, not the ore, because we could do enough multiplication and we're finding for it. In the dev version, that is true. They will not buy the ingots. But the ITC will definitely buy ingots. I'm pretty sure the AHE will, but I don't recall. So, we're bringing some. And we got some components. Can we get high enough on plane that we could break 50 meters a second? No. Okay, so we're around like 95 miles an hour. That's not bad. That's pretty solid. We can't maintain it if I let off the gas, though. Like, full out, we can do that. If I let off the gas, what do we drop to? I assume we fall back off plane. Yeah, we start falling off plane. We're not completely off, but we're starting to. We will drop down. So I could do something like just set an override and go from there. Where's the tag for gyro ship rudders am I supposed to set? Oh, it doesn't have to be in... Hang on, it doesn't have to be in, blocks. This works. Must be out of this blocks, and nice transfer to... The rudder tag must be added to the custom name. Oh yeah, okay. That kind of works. I'll have to play with that more. I'm not looking to buy vehicles. I've got a better boat than anything you could sell me. Actually, that's not true. They've got a really cool boat here. It's got guns and rockets on it. And like multiple decks. Like, I say I don't need any of their vehicles, but they do have some cool ones. Yeah, so in V1, they still will. Let's turn off the center buoyancy show, because we definitely don't need that now. Let's come in here and see what we got. Oh, yeah, no, not a problem. That happens sometimes. Alright, so we're just gonna cruise in here now. And, you know, we're gonna park on this backside. Use our anchor to snap roll us around. Is that normally a horrible thing to do with a boat? Yes. Does it matter in this particular case? Nope. Okay. Let's grab a bunch of this stuff. Go see what we can sell over here. Where? See, I'm trying to remember which building buys and sells things. That's the clinic. That's the town hall. I think it's... No, that's the chef's place. Is it over here? No, that's housing. Where's... I know they've got stuff for selling. Is it here? It might be here. That's a jukebox. One of these days I will learn the layout of this headquarters just in time for it to blow up. You can. You can, yes. Absolutely can. They only anchor into voxels though, so like you can use it to like keep you like aligned. Up here. Yeah, here we go. Alright, so, they do have aluminum. They will buy all of this goofy stuff. So we can make some money. Yeah, this is what Splitsy was expecting to see when they went to that settlement. Iron's not bad. Really, copper sells for more? Okay. Well, now we know. Copper's better than iron here. We can get a whole bunch of aluminum. more than I can buy right now, so we'll just buy, like, some. I wonder if these connectors on the docks are conveyor to that cell platform, because if I could do that, that'd be the way to go. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea just for alignment purposes, just to make sure that everything, you know, sets up the way it's supposed to. Why do I have multiple? Oh, right, from the unknown signals. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea just to keep things, like, you can't tie up at a dock normally, you know, so like that's probably not a bad idea. I'm gonna buy, not sell. To do 74,000. So copper is the way to go for right here compared to iron. That's good to keep in mind. You know, in all honesty, I could probably bury this in the decking and it'd be perfectly fine. We got a day's worth of power left. Actually, before we go, I was almost fast enough to take damage from that. Almost. Let's see what components that we can make they're willing to buy. It's gonna be this one. Okay, so we make displays, but that's a terrible price for that. Motors are probably, we can make power kits. I wonder what the cost to make 630 credits per power kit versus 520 per motor. This is probably not a bad rate for that, because it does take... No, it's a terrible rate. This straight copper is worth more. Okay. So straight copper, maybe some power kits. Yeah, that's the problem. Unfortunately, is you get into that issue of something comes undone or something breaks or something, you know, pops, and that's that. Okay, so turning off dampeners helps. I think, maybe not. I can't tell if the gyro is trying to keep us level matters. We're now doing 56. I guess we're with the current, because we're doing 56 meters a second at peak. We're bouncing like 53, 54. That's fast, y'all. Like that's you. If you fall off the boat at 54 meters a second, it's like you hit a fucking brick wall. Like, water's hard as concrete at those speeds. And you will catch and dig, and you will just death cartwheel yourself end over end. So on top, actually, you know, a solar on top of the cargo box would probably not be a bad idea. Because, like, being able to tether to the dock is good, but there may not always be a time where we've got access to that. And so having a backup is probably good. We don't really use, other than like the H2O gin to refill our hydrogen bottles, we don't really use a lot of power on the Connex. Like a single solar there would probably work still. And once we have our dry dock up and running, there'll be cranes to lift ships in and out of the water anyway. So it won't be that big a deal then. This is stupid fast. This is a single thruster, and we are stupid fast. Now, if we had access to refined oil, I'd be like, I don't care, because we could just have a little gas engine we crank up, super efficient, and we'd have power for forever. In fact, we could probably not even have a battery on this boat and just run off the gas engine alone. As many AHE ships fly overhead, I don't want the GC to ever take over that port. I don't, because that means they're going to be flying right overhead, and so any infrastructure that's not underground, yeah, even tethered is free power, yeah. So I mean, it's not that big a problem. It would be good to have, and then once it can be revisited later, right? Oh, you can see the solar panel or the wind tunnel, the tower. It's probably not a bad idea in general, just to have, as a backup, Then maybe we'll relocate, because I don't think we can make solar panels until we have the glass kiln. There's a raft floating here in the water somewhere. It's a fish. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to spring for the, like, one thruster left and right to help stabilize. I may need to figure out the rudder mod is not working right now. So I gotta play around with this and see what I messed up. But it's presently not operating. Turn against the anchor. Turn off inertial dampeners. We will tether up. So we do have that'll keep things charged and functioning. Let's pull all this stuff out. Go slam it under our stuff over here. Is, you know what, we'll put one of each here, because that's good enough. This definitely needs some decorative greebling, and we can afford it. Right, like we have enough buoyancy, we can definitely afford decorative greebling, and to make it a little bit less ugly. And I'll probably work on that some between now and next stream. I don't know that. I don't know that I want to detract too much from its current appearance. But I think I'm going to go through and sink this cargo container like a couple blocks down into the deck. Actually, hang on, before I say that, is this, how airtight is this? It is airtight on all the sides and, okay, so it's airtight everywhere. So that's good, because that means that I do not want to respawn. That means that I don't have to worry about putting a hole in the ship. So if I sink this a couple blocks down, we can still be able to see over it, right? So like we're looking at like 2 blocks, maybe 3, and then I can relocate one of these solar panels off the Connex and put it on the boat. And then we've got the ability to do longer range stuff. Like if we need to do for a long ocean burn, we can. So, let's see, let's take a look at our list of things here. So, didn't do anything on the things to do list, but we did do some other stuff. I didn't die anymore. But we started working on stuff. We got hydrogen source stuff. Did this thing move? No, I built this closer to it. I was like, hang on, that wasn't that close before. We got refueling set up for our dune buggy. Built an upsettingly fast little torpedo boat, cigar boat, narco boat. Actually, hang on. Do we have any torpedoes in this pack? Am I running anything that's got torps? No, that's fine. This is going to get sunk down a little bit, and I'll clean up. I would clean up the styling on the outside of this boat a little bit in the process, and probably put another anchor block. I don't know where, somewhere. I'll probably replace this hose connector with another anchor, because we won't need it with the solar panel on top, and we can just put the solar panel up here. Oh wait, that can't mount that way. Can we do the other solars? Probably. Oh yeah, because look at that. That fits nicely on top. So we can do that, and then that gives us some coloring ability as well for like color matching stuff, and that'll work out. Got some work done. We got some cement going as well. We got hydrogen functioning, so we got the collector. We got hydrogen there. Worst case scenario, we can set up a tank to collect it, but again, we're not really going to be using it for power. There's not a reason to. It's too inefficient. And I don't know that we have a need for it as fuel right now. We can do 55 meters a second in that little boat on a single flat boat. Imagine if it was a full-size thruster. 3 times the thrust. I'd be in trouble. I would get in trouble. I would sink that thing so fast. Anyway. That's where we're going to leave things for tonight. Next, I'm going to clean this up. I think next time we're probably going to start working on, now that we have a boat, probably start working on the actual, like, docks. And then that will allow us to start planning on our hangar space and runway. And I've got a mod that's going to help us plan out and lay out the mining for that. That'll be kind of fun to show off next time. So we'll do that. So I appreciate everybody who came out. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down and know that you're me. Feel free to give it a thumbs down. If you're watching this after the fact, I especially appreciate it as well. Because you chose to sat through all of this. And appreciate that. Appreciate the engagement. See y'all back next Thursday. I think Thursday? Let me double check. Make sure I didn't do something dumb here with my calendar. Yeah, no, next Thursday. Next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, as before. As always, stay safe. Stay goose.